Hey everyone, it's Zach with Palantir Research. Palantir is getting lumped into big tech as if they're part of a group of tech companies that fire people in order to get lower paid engineers to replace their highly paid US workers that were just let go. But that's all unfair. Also, Palantir has basically already revealed the kind of H-1B workers they'd probably go after.
And so I see the Baltics as having, and England, quite frankly, as having a huge advantage as places to build this out over other parts. And so I think there's a lot of structural reasons. That's one reason I see a huge advantage for Eastern European countries, because for constitutional and other reasons that I largely support, you're just going to be able to move faster than other people. By the way, I think pragmatic countries in the Baltics, as an example, will be able to leapfrog, because this is not a question of money. This is a question of what do we invest in? How do we invest in it? Do we have the technical talent?
So now I think it's pretty unfair to lump them in with the highly covered tech layoffs that have happened earlier this year, especially as a lot of these companies have been transitioning to lower costs and removing bloat after cheap money has gone away with higher interest rates. Now, why is this entirely unfair, in my opinion, to lump Palantir with them? Well, let's actually go into one of these articles. So we start off with the headlines that big tech companies, so Palantir isn't listed here in the specific article in the title, but essentially they want to grab readers' attention that lower paid H-1B workers, which is true, are being sought after by tech companies right after they laid off thousands of people from their higher paid US jobs. With all of this true, and it's available to review from the US Department of Labor for their H-1B visas applications, and right off the bat, these are justified claims, of course, with the narrative they're trying to portray on these mega tech companies, because this is not new. For Google, Meta, Amazon, Microsoft, this has happened in the past. But they've let go many software engineers and other technical jobs that are, of course, highly paid, so the optics do not look good for them. It's just weird that we would have to add Palantir here. And that's why I'm saying it's unfairly placed. We have Palantir lumped with them, so they don't do any details on Palantir because there really isn't anything in the narrative there that's consistent with it. If anyone did a simple Google search, you could see that Palantir did a smaller round of layoffs of 75 individuals, but this was not even technical folks because it was related to their ramp up of the sales force, meaning recruiters were mainly affected by these layoffs from Palantir. So it still sucks for them, of course, for those individuals, but these H-1B visas typically aren't used for recruiters at all, and of course the scale of this is just not the same as all the other big tech companies. What is also interesting is that the article points out India and getting these visas to hire lower paid tech workers. This is true for many companies over time and is the typical story of cutting IT departments and even software development teams in order to have them run out of India and have that offshored. It's nothing new and typical of our line of work, but what I think Palantir is using their H-1B visas for, and this is speculation on my part here, so I have to warn, is for Eastern Europe. There are plenty of interviews with Karp, who recently has been in Eastern Europe not only for a show of support to the region with the war in Ukraine, but also for the expansion into setting up a tech hub specifically in Lithuania. He has publicly admired Eastern Europe as having a strong culture that can contribute to the software development process and expanding their footprint there when it comes to not only selling their products to their governments, but working alongside their people to develop and curate more solutions that will be used by their populations. Software is scalable, but it's also important to have context when developing their use cases among different cultures, especially when it deals with military and government applications that can affect the citizens. So when running into articles like these, don't just lump Palantir into all the tech giants, because typically they've gone against the grain in regards to that. Alex Karp has been very public about being an atypical tech company too, leaving Silicon Valley. But let me know your thoughts below, and I'll see you in the next video.